Welcome back to the Office Marketing Podcast with Mike Swigert, the podcast all about sales tips, mindset, and value bombs. 5 questions to help make your day more productive and learn a thing or two. Here is your host, best-selling author, Mike Swigert.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to the Office Marketing Podcast. I have a furniture friend on the call today, and we're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff. We're going to talk about her experiences in the industry. We're going to talk about maybe some trends happening, just kind of things to, keep your eye on what's going on in the commercial office space. It is Katie Taylor. She's a director of business development at KFI Studios. She has a potpourri of experience and amazing energy to make the next little bit of your day a little more fun. Katie, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I love starting my day this way. Instead of just sitting there like looking through my emails, I get to start with like a fun coffee conversation, even though we're in different states. So here we go.
Right. If anybody knows that she's starting her day, it's literally 2:00 in the afternoon, and Katie is starting her day. I'm just kidding. No,
it's Derby week. It's how it rolls this time of year, right?
You are a Kentucky, very, very much so committed to the Kentucky culture. We're going to get into that later, but hey, why don't you kind of walk us through that time of how you got into this crazy industry and what do you love about it?
It's been so ridiculous because I literally just sent one of my counterparts that I work with elsewhere. I was like, how are we almost to May and how did we get there? And then I start looking at it as in I started at KFI in 2018, right? I'm going on 3 years and it hasn't felt that long, which 3 years is not a long time, right? But I felt like I've learned so much. And literally within the first month, everyone I talked to was like, well, Katie, once you get into the commercial furniture industry, you are not going anywhere. And it's very apparent that I'm never going anywhere. But the way that I got introduced to KFI Studios, one of my friends from college, her name's Taylor, was like, hey, I don't know what your work situation is, but my uncle's company, they're looking for someone to do a lot of things. They don't have a full job description, but they know that they're looking to grow and they need someone to help with that. And so I come in, I talk to her uncle, who's Scott Williamson. He's our VP of sales, part owner of the company. And then my now boss, Chris Smith, who's the president, CEO of KFI. And we sat down and I'm expecting this very formal interview. I'm wearing a slack suit, something ridiculous. And just thinking about wearing that in this office now is so funny to me. But we were sitting there for 2 hours. And just talking about, we're going to work with this company and we're able to do this. And this is where we see the company going. Mind you, people don't know what KFI stands for. It was Kentuckiana Foam, which is not a real cool thing when you're 29, oh, I'm going to work for this foam company. What am I even doing? So I got in there. The website's horrible, everything. This is only 3 years ago. But just talking to the two of them and seeing their vision for where they see and saw KFI going, it was so exciting to me and just made me feel okay, I don't think I will ever wake up dreading going into my office. And I can 1,000,000% say that I do not. I mean, there's some days I'm a little sleepy, right? But every day I'm so excited to be here because there's something new happening all the time. So since I started, the numbers change consistently, but last time I counted, we have 22 core products that we're looking at. 13 of them have been brought on since 2018. So we've done 2 website revamps since I got here. One of them happened 2 weeks ago. So everyone has to go look at it. Shameless plug. But it's just this consistently evolving situation where it's awesome. Sorry, rant.
Oh, no, I love it, Katie. And you and I have gotten to be friends, extremely quickly. And if anybody's listening, huge fan of Katie Taylor, her intelligence, her energy. Everybody needs a friend like Katie Taylor in their life. Because really, every time I talk to you, I'm learning something and a different insight and a different just way of thinking about this crazy industry that we're in. And if people could have heard our pre-call, I had like 3 eureka moments. I'm like, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so cool. And oh, by the way, again, I have to say qualifier, KFI and Katie, they don't pay anything to be on this podcast. I'm really just like a huge fan. I love the product lines. I've been really glad to see it even change and evolve over the last few years. You really have done an amazing job. And it's gone from, I feel like on a little bit more on the rudimentary side to like, there's a lot of panache happening at KFI. Like, well done, Katie.
It is wild. Thank you so much. We have this board in our conference room, and it's just all these pictures because we're working with these different designers and thinking about new product we're bringing on. We have 7 new things coming up between now and early spring 2022, which is a weird number to even think about. But there's just, I'm like, how is that us? Is that ours? And we used to sell the worst, like the vinyl banquet, which people need, but it's just where it started, whatever that thing is on the internet right now. That's exactly, we've made the biggest transformation, and it's incredible.
Well, what's an ideal client for KFI right now? And when we're kind of in spring 21, who's really leaning on KFI to be a part of their projects?
So we come in, it's been interesting to watch kind of the state because my reps are copying me on like the full email thread. And so I'm able to really see, okay, this is where the project started. I'm looking at, my big aligned dealers. Okay, I need this steel case, this situation. Okay, I can't afford all of that. I need quality. I can't wait 14 weeks. And that's on steel case, any manufacturer that has these long lead times. And so we're coming in when people are like, okay, I can't wait for this stuff. I need it in 48 hours or 2 weeks, which is like something that we put on every single product that we bring on. And I need something a little less expensive, but I need to be able to customize it still. Designers need to, they want everything to be in their finishes. It has to be, they have a vision. It's an art. It's their talent.
That's the thing is it's their signature. I mean,
it really is.
It's
like I'm putting my mark on this space.
Mm-hmm.
So we come in after they've looked at, the highest of all high-end options. And that's where we are right now. I see us within the next couple of years, we're going to be up there. So I'm going to just start here, because why am I waiting to get to that point when I know that KFI has the service I need? I know they have the speed I need. And now we're going to have the unique product. So we're going to have things that set us apart instead of the kind of little bit lower price, like Me Too product, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, everyone has a Bentwood chair. We have one too. Here, take it. It's a little bit less expensive and you can have it faster. But now we're going to be having the unique, eye-catching product. So pretty excited about it.
But that's really where, especially now, the world that we live in, and it's accelerated a lot the last, year or so. But like, I saw a great study done, and it was done on different age groups. It was like millennials, Gen Y, Gen X. And they were basically like, if all your brands disappeared tomorrow, how much would that impact you? And it was like, the younger you got, they were like, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Like literally, and KFI is a wonderful brand.
Yeah.
But like people who were just always on XYZ brand that mm-hmm. like, oh, well, when we do our ancillary, well, of course we go here. I think people now are like, they're looking for, references, availability,
mm-hmm.
how much they can touch it.
You really have to be responsive, and you have got to have that personal, I want to help you just touch. And that's why, in talking to my reps, they're like, well, if I need to get a hold of someone, who do I ask for this? Who do I ask for that? I'm like, just come here. What can we do here? We want to help you. And I say this day in and day out, but like the worst thing that we're ever going to say is no, and we're probably not going to say it. Right. So if you need help with something, if there's this huge project that's out there and you're like, well, but I need it by this date. Okay. Don't assume, just ask us if we can do that. And we probably can figure it out. And it's just, being that approachable instead of this large corporate brand, I think that it's really helping us right now, especially because people are moving away from, I do not need to always have that name brand product.
Right. All right. So
Wow.
what are some of the products that you have right now that you're most proud of? What's one that you're kind of like, oh, I really like that.
There's two right now. So we have our Voodoo series and our Roca series. And the reason that I'm so just they tug at my heartstrings is because that was really the first product line. We worked with Hue Designs out of Chicago. So they're the design arm of Whitney Architects. And I talk about them so frequently, but it was the first time I was able to get up to Chicago, go to their offices, see a 3D printed chair of our Roca series. And they're like, well, why don't we turn this into a little rocker? It's like, what, like a rocking chair? And it was the first time I'm able to really see our product move into something that's not like anything else. And it's this cute, adorable little bucket seat. I got to see all the finishes be created. We got to decide which stains we were going to use for the rocker, which, finishes we wanted to use for the frame. And it was really, because we had done, we're a hybrid company, we do importing, but this was really the first look at oh my gosh, we really, really, truly made this. And we're able to be a part of the full design process. And then our Voodoo series, we went through the same thing. And it's just our tables historically had just been steel bases. Cool, but anyone can have a steel base, right? So we have this solid wood leg, and just watching the engineering of how the metal is piercing through the steel, and just watching kind of, the weight testing and what tops can we use. And it sounds so nerdy, because it's a literal table, which is every time I get so excited about it, it's funny to me, but there's so much that goes into it. And those two series were really the first that I was able to see, okay, where are we going to get this wood? What species of wood are we going to be able to utilize? And it's I would never even think about that. So those two, that. I think I'll always Katie, feel that way about those two.
Katie, the way you talk about those two lines are the way just about everybody in the world talks about their children. I don't know if you picked no, literally, Katie, because it's because people are like, oh my gosh. And then they play soccer and they play football and they're swimming and and I go, and then they'll be like, I know I'm just going on and on about my kid, but I just love them. And they're like, do you
have any pets? I'm like, well, I have this really cool bar stool.
Exactly. But that's beautiful. I hope anybody that's listening can just walk through and that's genuine passion. That's real. That's so incredible. And if you're just listening to this, take a second and watch it on YouTube, because you can just see, Katie, I love that. That's what it's all about. That's really
bright
cool.
Red. I'm like, oh gosh, I just get this pumped about it. I literally do. And I think that if I wasn't fortunate enough to have my team here, my boss being like, okay, you're going to sit in, figure all this out with us. We're going to start from we have a golden doodle. So if you hear him, I'm sorry. Starting from the very beginning to just letting me learn. And, if I have ideas, or if I'm talking to my reps and they're like, we need to do this color, then he lets me, kind of help with those conversations. And
I love it.
It's awesome.
All right. Well, let's talk about, since you are definitely, I spent a little over 5 years in commercial furniture, and we have a lot of similar friends. But talk to us about what's been happening. So obviously we're about to see a pretty hybrid type of an office solution. We're seeing people, it's amazing how much home offices are even impacting the housing market, where people are getting bigger homes so they can have bigger home offices. This is really touching KFI in a lot of places. So let's first talk about, we'll just call it the hybrid office. It may have a name, and it may evolve very quickly. But what's happening? What are you seeing as we go into Q3 and Q4 projects of 21 for the new office? What type of trends are you seeing?
This episode of the Office Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Fusion Advisory. We help commercial contractors generate leads online profitably. Check us out at fusion-advisory.com.
First, thank you for not saying the new normal. It makes me want to pull my hair out. So I appreciate you for that. What we had been seeing, this, I guess it started in June. We needed a home office situation that could ship, via UPS or FedEx or whatever. So we were able to pivot really quickly to come out with a table that's going to ship KD'd so that it can ship directly to employees' homes. We had these big corporations coming in being like, okay, I want to work with this specific dealer, design firm, whatever it is, but I want to be able to send them directly to my employees' houses. So if they're not comfortable being with us, I can just send it to them and we don't have to mess with it. We're also seeing people obviously hire more remote employees that are so far away from where, your typical office would be. Okay, this is my brand new person, starts Monday. They actually live on the other side of the country. They're going to need a situation for working. So we had to kind of pivot that a little bit. We had the chairs, they all can ship that way. But we came out with a table that really, really quickly. The other thing that we've seen and we've always done really well with, and it was something that we were putting a lot of muscle behind even before COVID, is the use of outdoor space. So, you always have okay, I'm going to go sit outside because I'm at a restaurant. Now it's your literal lounge area or your gathering space, your collaborative area, but make it outside. So we're looking at all these new options, and it's not just, your typical, and we have it, but your square table with an umbrella hole and a couple, faux teak chairs. Yeah, we do that. But now we're having to look at some outdoor lounge because people are going out there for working.
By the way, that was my favorite day would be when Sister Rita James would say, we're going to do class outside.
Oh, it was mine too, but my brain was like, well, I can't look around here. There's too
believe me,
happening.
That's okay.
Focus out here.
There's only
now,
so much time I can spend trying to figure out how short her hair was underneath her habit before I started going like butterfly.
Please let there be a gust of wind. I need to figure it out.
I gotta figure this out. Well, Sister Alice Ann would wear the habit that would kind of just sit back a little bit. So at least we kind of knew how long her hair was. So
right. I can kind of figure this out, but I still just need maybe a light trip so I could just get a glimpse.
All right.
God,
I know you and I could definitely, we could definitely squirrel for 2 hours. All right. So get me back into
school.
All right. So cool. So we're going to go into some really nice outdoor spaces. I'm super excited to see that. I'm even seeing it in like my commercial real estate friends when they're sort of showing spaces instead of just a interior walkthrough. They're actually showing the outdoor amenities, which is great to see. What else are you seeing on the inside space?
The other thing that we've seen, and I'm loving it because I love being, I don't like to work from home and I don't want to do it. I want to go to my desk, my situation, get that all settled. But people are more committed to having that interaction with people now. So we're looking at different lounge spaces. We saw this ping pong table and we initially, here we are, it's a ping pong table. People want that for some fun at their office. You could always take the net off. But for people to be able to sit away from each other, they're looking for these larger size tables. So we're kind of marketing it as that now. We needed to bring in like a 60-inch round table because people want to sit a little bit further, but they still want to collaborate. So it seems to me like people are really looking to get back in and work with their coworkers.
Yeah.
And I'm so encouraged by it. We have kind of a road show coming up within over the month of May, and the response to that and to being able to get in and see, have in-person meetings and all of that, people are excited about it.
I told you, Katie, I was at a network event last week, and it was seriously 200 people, and I haven't hugged that many people in like a year. Everybody was just like, and they didn't want to let go. They were like, I'm just hugging.
Like, ma'am, I don't actually know you. I'm like, sorry.
Exactly. Oops. They were just like, we're here. We've got humans. We love. It's so good to see. And I'm sure there's someone in like upstate Michigan or somewhere going like, wait a minute. I want to hug people. I want to hug people too.
Like, where's this road show?
I know. God bless them.
But really.
Yeah.
But yeah, one like kind of product shift. We have 2 upcoming lines that I'm excited about, and this all fell out of just how people are wanting to work.
Right.
One being like a laptop table, and the ability to kind of be a little bit more flexible in the way that you operate. The other is a bit of a lounge like a Chase lounge. But that's going to be more focused towards the education space. So I'm used to working on my couch.
Yeah.
Not on my couch anymore. So you're going to be able to be a little bit more comfortable, pull over the laptop table and have a more relaxed, comfortable operation, but you're still there with your coworkers.
Oh, I love
or
that.
at school or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
So those have been some shifts that we've made, but it's all falling out of what our reps are telling us. Like, oh, you guys need this.
All right. So if you're a specifier listening to this podcast right now, what's a nice piece of advice you could give them if they're working on some designs coming up over the next 6 months? As you get through the end of 2021, what type of tips could you give them as they're laying out spaces?
I'd say that it's so overwhelming to think of, okay, I have to be able to accommodate literally any person and anyone's comfort level. This is going to be you don't know. And I felt so bad, even in people that I feel like I know pretty closely. And they're like, oh no, I don't want to be near anyone. I'm like, okay, well, sorry about that. I apologize. But you're really going to have to build out multiple different situations in your space to accommodate that level of comfort. People, it doesn't take that long to form habits, right? So it's going to be very hard to get back into the office if you're used to working in your situation. I even, and this is pre-COVID, everything, I will take one day a month where I get so situated. I call it doing my files. And I get all these papers and I just write out all my notes and I have everything just to hit reset. So I think as you're specifying, to find a place that's going to let someone just gather themselves, especially if they're feeling overwhelmed, if they're having a hard time getting back into that, I think that's going to be very important also.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how this. I almost wish I was like a sociology or a clinical psychology major sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
like this would be so fascinating to see how it happens, because I feel like we're working very, very hard to create an office space that people that are very cautious feel comfortable going back to.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I feel like it's the others that are actually going to get people back to the office.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm 100% on board with it.
And that's the thing. And here's the thing is, nobody's wrong. Like, that's the thing is, like, it's up to your personal level, as long as you're not, negative or adversely impacting others. And yes,
right.
But like, again, this is not a science or a political show, but it's just really just observing it. It's really fascinating to see what's going to happen, the next couple quarters when it comes to the office.
And as long as you just, give people grace to be in the space that they need to, and know that I think one thing that you say is like, you hired these friends for a reason, right? You hired them to do a specific job, and it's up to you to give them the tools to be able to do that job however they need to. And whether that goes for, your typical office, for education, for hospitality, for government buildings, whatever it is, it's honestly different. But I do think people are pretty positive about things getting back into a real routine.
Yes. And I've said this multiple times, is like, if you think that it'll never be the same, all you have to do is picture anything from like the Roaring 20s, where it was people packed inside speakeasies with flapper dresses and zoot suits. And that was only 40 months after the Spanish flu. And this was even before antibiotics were even invented. So like, or discovered, whatever the term is. But like, so like, we will be back. We will move past this. It just may seem like an eternity away, and all of a sudden we're going to look up and we're moving forward.
I'm looking forward to, literally Saturday is the Kentucky Derby, and they're having fans. It's going to be very limited, but it's back. I'm like, this thing.
Do you have your hat, Katie? Do you have your hat ready?
Oh, okay. We can't talk about my hat because it's the one stressor that I have right now. I'm like, I have my dress, I have my shoes, I have my purse, I have my ticket, I have my ride. I do not have a hat.
All right. So everybody knows today's Thursday, and the race, is it Saturday or Sunday? When's the race? Saturday.
Sunday is a day of rest.
Okay.
For the city.
Of recovery. But and if anybody's ever had a mint julep, that's definitely a big part of Saturday, isn't it, Katie?
Yes, there's actually a recipe on our site right now. If you go to Now Trending on KFI site, we have nice recipe for
Good.
mint
Well,
julep.
exciting. And the last time I had a mint julep, I was at Churchill Downs. So that I can honestly say that.
There you go.
All right. So let's go a little bit about you, Katie. Tell us something other than the fact that you don't have a hat for Saturday that not everybody knows about Katie Taylor.
Not everyone knows, and I think that you're going to be surprised to hear this too. But I prefer sometimes to just sit down by myself and not say one word and read. So I am a huge nerd. I love a book and a tea at night. Like I'm actually 90 years old. So
pillows. I'm picturing lots of pillows around.
So many pillows. There's this brand, it's called Barefoot Dreams. It's a really soft blanket. So I am a true homebody. I like a yoga, I like a tea, and I like a book. So when I'm out running around like a chicken with my head cut off, people are like, how do you ever sit still? But that's my number one. So
that's great.
It's a little shocking.
It's so important. People like
grandmother.
Well, just because someone is engaging and appears as an extrovert, no one's purely extrovert or introvert. And that's really cool. That's cool that you know that about you. That's super important.
I have to.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. Like I love to do trail runs by myself without any electronics. Yeah. Like I want to go and I just want to be in nature. I would do it barefoot if I could. And I would really, I absolutely love it. So talk to me, what's a book that you're loving, Katie?
So I usually have a nonfiction and a fiction going at the same time. So fiction right now, it's about World War II in Italy. It's called Beneath the Scarlet Sky. I'm absolutely obsessed with it right now. And then nonfiction that I'm reading, it's called How to Do the Work. So it's by this like clinical psychologist. Her name's Nicole LaPera. And what she does is she looks at like the full mind-body connection and how everything, your head's going to get clear if you're taking care of your body. So It's really, really been interesting to how, you usually treat one thing or the other. And the book kind of speaks to how it's all one. And it may be a little hippie out there, but it's awesome. I've been interested in it.
Katie, I'm 100% with you. So like, that's one, again, I think I started this podcast off. One thing I really enjoy about being friends with you is that your approach and strategy looking at things isn't always just the main, the most apparent way of looking at things. Mm-hmm. That's so cool that you're actually looking at that in your books too. Well done.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you so much. I just try to soak it all in however I can.
You're an absolute
information
joy
out there.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Katie, what would be the easiest or best way for them to contact you? Are we going to put your home address on? Is that what we said?
I was going to put my home address. I'm going to
cookouts every Sunday. Yeah.
Come on down.
Yeah.
No, but the best way, and I think I know I consistently have LinkedIn pulled up. I'm on there. I think that and that's how we got connected. Mm-hmm. Right. So just to be able to meet people, I think it's a great way to meet people. So LinkedIn, reach out. I'm never going to be weirded out by any sort of LinkedIn message or connection. So just say hello. Love learning what's going on out there.
Well, you really are. And if you get a chance, you find an excuse to reach out to Katie and engage her on a project, pick her brain on stuff. She is an extreme talent and a gift to the furniture world. Thanks for sharing your time, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you so soon.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Office Marketing Podcast. Be sure to join the conversation on our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Facebook pages. If you enjoyed the episode, head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.